Good evening, I'm Frosty Creeper, and these are the Federated States elections on ZBC. On the 14th of July 2020, President Ondes announced that he would be resigning effective immediately due to real-life obligations. The designation of Villanueva as the capital city of the Federated States of the New World was also renowned. He added that he would be endorsing DinTB for president and Polo 455 as vice president in the upcoming election. Shortly after this announcement in the FS Discord, Ondes rescinded his resignation and stated that he would be staying in office until the next president was elected. Also on the 14th, two separate bills were introduced into Parliament, both on setting the format of the election cycle. The first bill, authored by President Ondes, proposed an unorthodox system of FS members nominating three presidential candidates, with only the top three nominees allowed to be included on the ballot. The second bill, a counter-proposal drafted by Liberal Democratic lawmaker John G., stipulated a more traditional method of declaring candidacy for the presidential candidates. After some debate, the counter-proposal by John G. was passed with 21 votes for and 8 abstentions. In contrast to Ondes, 8 votes for, 19 votes against, and 6 abstentions. The bill set an election cycle of 9 days, with 7 days for campaigning as the first phase, and a subsequent 2 days for voting as the second phase of the election cycle. The July 2020 Federated States of the New World election cycle officially started at midnight Greenwich Mean Time on the 19th of July. There are a total of 5 candidates in the presidential race, the most prominent so far being DinTB, leader of the Liberal Democratic Party, but running as an independent in the election. And Sans Not Luigi, a new entrant to the Federated States running under the establishment Republican, centrist professional disenfranchiser of opposition, including but not limited to communist and separately freeway-building trickle-down economics, promoting self-aggrandizing Toledo eliminating transit enthusiast party for the betterment of our wallets, or the ERCP ROEDEEP STATEFTW. There was also the Subway and Crimson Fox, the two People's Republic Party tickets in this election. Lastly, we have another independent Fork_07. In his campaign for the May 2020 Republic of Epsilon elections, he had revealed his plans to merge the Federated States of the New World with the ROE should he have won the elections. Tensions flared up multiple times over the 7-day campaign phase, especially surrounding Sans Not Luigi's Mimi campaign. Recently, an LDP campaign poster was released by incumbent President Ondes that told voters to take their country seriously by not voting for Sans, which was applauded by the leadership of the PRP. He has been criticized by the other 4 candidates for allegedly tarnishing the reputation of the Federated States on the MRT and making a mockery of the election process, especially regarding his campaign promise to eat babies and repeated unsolicited denials of being a secret agent sent by the Lama Libertarian Party and the Republic of Epsilon. He responded to these criticisms by revealing his plan for introducing constitutional reforms to the FS Constitution, a document that has been described as having too many loopholes and was recently placed in the spotlight after the immense power of the judiciary and the Constitution's potential for abuse was pointed out by some lawmakers. Sans also added in his response that he feels that he's being unfairly targeted on the sole basis of his joke campaign, and that he's noticed that he's been blamed for problems in the FS he says have nothing to do with him. The two PRP candidates have also attracted attention and have notably been called out by outside observers for comments accusing recent entrants to the FS of creating issues that hadn't existed before they had joined, and for running vague campaigns that have been criticized for using buzzwords and meaningless platitudes, especially surrounding the term FS values, which have been used by Crimson liberally in his advertisements. DinTB has also not been free from criticism, with his party, the LDP, branded as laughingstock of the nation by PRP candidate Crimson Fox. Interestingly, the other PRP candidate, the Subway, in stark contrast to his fellow PRP candidate, has lauded the LDP for building a good political foundation for the FS and has only criticized the LDP for their inaction and lack of tangible development. Meanwhile, Fjork has had very little activity in the FS Discord throughout the election, releasing just 2 ads, the most recent of which advocated for a simplification of the Constitution and a nationwide transportation company of an unspecified mode. Polls were officially announced open by Darth Vader 2005, the election commissioner, at midnight Greenwich Mean Time yesterday, exactly 7 days after the commencement of the election cycle. Polling data released 2 hours after the opening of the voting form showed DinTB in a narrow lead, tied with Sans Not Luigi in first-choice votes, but moving further ahead in second-choice votes, of which Sans received none. Fjork is next, though only having 1 first-choice vote. He has 7 second-choice votes, only slightly behind DinTB. Trailing behind are the two PRP candidates, with the subway receiving a substantial amount of third-choice votes and most fourth-choice votes, and Crimson with a slightly higher amount of third-choice votes. One can see on the graph that Sands is a polarizing candidate, having just slightly more fifth-choice votes as he is getting first-choice votes. Polls are set to close at the stroke of midnight on the 28th of July, so there's still a lot of time left for the election results to change drastically. That concludes our introduction to the July 2020 Federated States of the New World elections. Stay tuned on ZBC for our continued coverage of the FS elections from start to end. Our next segment will be discussing the various policy positions and stance on controversial issues of the 5 candidates.